So welcome back, everybody, to this wonderful brand new podcast built for us. It's for construction workers, by construction workers. Steve, how are you this evening, mate?
I'm really good, Clive, and it's great to be speaking to you again, my friend.
And you?
And you? How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm really good. I've had a great week so far. And I believe this evening, mate, we're going to be talking about imposter syndrome, something that we're all familiar with. Sometimes we don't recognize it. Sometimes we don't admit to it. But I'm here to tell you I definitely experience it. How about you, mate?
100% experience it. And I probably have done most of my life looking back. And it's something that I wouldn't have ever realized until I understood imposter syndrome, what it was.
Good point.
But yeah, I think we all suffer with it in a way. And for me, we've got to learn to understand our worth and understand why we're where we are and why we do what we do. And so yeah, I think we'll kick it off with you giving us an example of where imposter syndrome's kicked in for you.
Yeah, no, thanks for setting that up. It's well, I remember vividly, Steve, vividly. It was probably 2018, 19 time. So I have to admit it wasn't my best spell. I'd had a couple of my diagnosis, and hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? But looking back at that, my mental health issues were probably ramping up then. But put that to one side. I was working for a large construction company based in Birmingham, and I was predominantly doing their health and safety work. And the reason that imposter syndrome eventually was recognized in my own mind was because I was struggling to fit in and get a genuine rapport with the 2 or 3 of the senior management team. None of the workers, not one of the workers, none of the guys in the on-site factory or on the sites all across the Midlands, none of them. And I'm not just saying that because of this podcast and the community that we're building. I'm genuinely not. The guys in the senior team, we were polar opposites, Steve. They were really genuine, and they had experience. They'd been around the block, but they were so do as I say, not as I do. They could change the direction on the flip of a coin and expect everyone else to understand that. They would kind of come back to you and say, well, I asked you for that yesterday. Why is it not here? And I don't know, the communication was awful. And it got me thinking, well, do I feel like this because I'm just completely different to them? Or actually, is this imposter syndrome? Am I what they need? Am I good enough to be here? And that real easy feeling just made me feel awful, to be honest, Steve. What about you? Have you been in a similar position?
Yeah, it's like you said then, it's about just not feeling good enough. And then that comes with confidence, I suppose. And if you've got someone kind of talking down to you in the way you just said from above, that is going to lower your confidence and make you question yourself. Yeah. But for me, I think, like, thinking back to probably where imposter syndrome first ever hit me was working on sites. As from a young age, on a few sites, I was asked to be supervisor. Now, I had no training as a supervisor back then. There was no triple STS or all like that. But I think part of because I worked out and my SARS and I was confident speaking to people, I was made supervisor, and I took it because it was an extra £1 an hour on top of my wage. But then I remember being in situations where I'm having to tell guys like kind of what I want them doing, and this needs to be done by Friday, and this needs sorting. But I'm speaking to guys who was a lot more experienced than me, a lot older than me, and it just made me feel so uncomfortable. Like thinking, are they even going to listen to me? But so I think that's imposter syndrome hit me then. Even now, moving forward a few years, like I'm becoming a coach. I've got qualifications coming out my ears now, and I've studied to be where I am and do what I do. But when I started, I'd still sit and ask myself, am I good enough to do this? Am I good enough to coach people? And yeah, I've got the lived experience and I've done courses, but I'd see other coaches on like online and I'd read books and I'd be like, I'm not that person. But luckily I persevered. And then it comes into the speaking as well. Like, as you know, speaking in front of a room full of people and sharing my story and talking about safety and mental health. I look healthy and well. Like, I can now go to the gym. I look after myself. Not in a way, the same way I used to when I was younger, but I live a healthy kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I know of many speakers within the safety sector who talk about safety, mental health, and they're in wheelchairs or they've got limbs missing or something physical.
Yeah.
And you walk into a room and that's impactful in itself. Now, for me, I look healthy and well, and it's like I'd get imposter syndrome thinking I'm just a former digger driver stood in front of all these guys. Why are they going to listen to me? You know, like, and it does, it kicks in and you start overthinking, and that's where the imposter syndrome comes from.
Yeah, you're absolutely. Yeah, all that resonates with me, Steve. It really does. But obviously, you clearly, very clearly get past yourself. We're getting each other's way, don't we? The minute you connect with the people that you're talking to, and the minute you get into your flow, you've got them then. And then all of a sudden, that noise, that imposter syndrome noise will, I'm sure, dull straight down, because you are unquestionably and naturally, if it is at all required, proving your worth, because you're just being you. You're not acting. You're not learning lines. You're just telling you, and that's exactly the same as me. And particularly what you said physically there, Steve, because you know I've got slow progressive motor neurone disease, but I've got a splint, but I walk in, I'm bright, I talk to people, and I know sometimes when people have read what I've done, where I've been, but motor neuron disease is a loud headline, isn't it? You think of, Stephen Hawking, the heroes, Doddy Weir and Rob Burrow, all these wonderful, incredible, powerful, profound people. And here's Clive, walk in and they think, oh, wow, he's, and I sometimes think, God, do they think I'm a fraud? Do they think I would dare? That? But of course, when the story comes out and it's natural, you get past it. But I suppose the point that we're both making here, we're both singing from the same hymn sheet here, that even with our experience, years of experience and the different situations that we found ourselves in, we can still suffer and we still hear imposter syndrome. Of course we do.
It's that little voice in your head, isn't it? I've got clients who are CEOs in high positions in massive multi-billion-pound companies.
Yeah.
And they get to stages where they doubt themselves and can I do this job? And for me as a coach, it's like, you're where you're supposed to be. We've got to learn to have that confidence in ourselves, to believe in ourselves.
Yeah.
Because whatever we're doing in the moment, we're supposed to be doing. That's my opinion. That's my belief. It's
very true.
I'm where I'm supposed to be right now. And I think for my own imposter syndrome, having people come over to me either after a talk or after I've coached them for a little bit and say, you've saved my life, or you've made me think differently. Then I start to believe, I'm not an imposter. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm making a difference.
Yeah.
And then I now know, and it's only recently I know my worth.
Yeah.
And I'm proud to be doing what I'm doing, and I'm proud to be where I am. And I think that's it for a lot of the listeners, a lot of people seeing this. Sometimes you will question yourself. About all sorts of things in life. But when it comes to your career, your position right now, or many people want to go into a new career, but they can't because they're telling themselves they can't retrain, that they're not capable of that.
Yeah.
For me, if we can visualize ourselves doing it, we can do anything. And again, it comes down to that belief and talking to the right people, putting yourself in the right areas.
Yeah.
But the more we do something as well, obviously the better we get, the more confident we'll become.
Yeah.
But the big one for me is knowing your worth.
Yeah.
There's no one better. I'm not better than nobody. There's no one better than me. I do what I do. Someone else does what they do. We've all got our own story, our own roles,
Yeah.
and it's about understanding that and being happy with who you are.
Yeah, great point. To be comfortable in your own skin, and that's not easy. And it only takes us to have a bad night's sleep, or something relatively small in life to all of a sudden that vulnerability kicks in. But I've learned again. I'm sure you'll get it in somewhere through this conversation, Steve, that you are actually younger than me, and I do have to surrender.
Only just.
Yeah, but with that extra year, not on you, I just mean in life in general, that vulnerability, we have to remind ourselves when we're feeling vulnerable. First thing is to remind ourselves that we're not the only one. But secondly, actually surrendering to those vulnerabilities is liberating. It really is, because once you've thought about them, maybe even better, discussed them with someone else, they're not so scary anymore. And you don't feel quite so vulnerable. And that is very much linked to imposter syndrome, because that is a form of vulnerability. And, I spent years working with the trade unions, Steve, within the Ministry of Defence. And, I cut my teeth, in terms of speaking there. And there were some tough crowds. But when I started, I had some great mentors that were sort of speaking in government in some instances. So I had a lot of people to learn from. I was able to shadow. I was never sort of immediately thrown into the deep end. But when I eventually did have to start speaking to either groups or large groups or even industrial tribunals, employment tribunals, I was all of a sudden thinking, wow, have I am I in the right seat here? Have they got the right person? And you doubt yourself, and your confidence all of a sudden starts to waver. But you go for it. You feel the fact that, well, actually, I have earned this. And by the way, the topic that I'm going to talk about today, I do know it. I do know this case, so I do understand the pay talks. And I think we were talking on camera a minute ago, and I was speaking to some sort of high category prisoners yesterday. And sometimes, Steve, part of my story, it touches on so many things. There's a lot of flags there, but it's obviously an inspirational. The trajectory goes upwards. But sometimes you can be talking about mental health and your own journey, no matter how profound it is. Sometimes I look at some of these guys that have told me before the talk, well, I'm going to get my sentence today. One of them was getting their sentence yesterday via a video link. And the pressure that, look, they've all made mistakes, so there are bad people in prison, but there are some people in there that have just took a wrong turn. They're not bad people, they took a wrong turn.
Yeah, just made a wrong choice.
Yeah, but I think, Steve, sometimes, honestly, that imposter syndrome, and I think, who are you, Clive, to be talking to these guys about pressure and mental health and loneliness? And why are you telling them to improve their sleep when they're going back to the cell? Yeah, but when you look at it as a whole, and you're not preaching, you're just sharing, the feedback's wonderful, and you can't wait to do another one. But
and I think because you're sharing tools and techniques that have got you through to where you are today, which then anyone can take away, and they can either use them or not. And that's the same with myself. Like, I talk about my journey with coaching. I talk about methods that help me get through my mental health journey and become mentally as healthy as I am today, which I'm in a really, really good place today. One of our other co-hosts, Craig, put a post earlier on LinkedIn about he woke up at probably a 6.5 today out of 10. And I'm like, wherever you're at. And but it's all right, because it's all right to not wake up completely happy every day. And I replied and said, I said, I probably woke up at about a 6, but by the time I brushed my teeth, did my gratitude list, had a shower, I'm probably walk my dogs, I'm probably an 8 now. It's about using them tools to bring yourself up a little bit, bring that energy up, feel a little bit better. If we're waking up and not doing anything about it, then you're going to stay at a 6, or you're going to go lower because your thought's going to go down. But again, like for me, I have imposter syndrome about being a coach, and there's a lot better coaches out there, and And I've read Tony Robbins' book forever, and Mel Robbins, and all these other different influential people. And then I think, why is anyone going to listen to me? But then if I'm using them tools and techniques and they're helping me, and I'm an 8 today because of a gratitude list and a little bit of meditation.
Yeah.
If I can pass that on to somebody else, then I've got no reason to feel like an imposter. You know what I mean? I have got tools and techniques and that lived experience.
Yeah.
For somebody else, I'm not pushing it on anyone.
Yeah.
But if you want to take it away and use it,
yeah,
it will help. And I think that's basically what we're doing. For me, that's what this podcast is all about. We're just having random conversations on different topics, like today, imposter syndrome. I'm not an expert in imposter syndrome. It's not something I've studied.
No.
I'm guessing you're not either. So it's basically just our opinions, our experiences of imposter syndrome. And there'll be many people watching, hopefully, who feel the same, or can recognise, they can relate to a point where they felt like an imposter in their role in whatever it's doing. I mean, sometimes, even as a dad, sometimes I felt like an imposter, and I wasn't doing enough. You know, it's not just work; it's personal life, it's everything.
Oh, it really is, Steve. Absolutely, great point. I got 4 boys, and sometimes I look back and I think, oh, maybe I wasn't. Not just that I got that wrong or I said it wrong. I sometimes think, well, why did I even think that he would be able to listen to me about that? He might look at me and think, well, what do you know, Dad? Because as a dad, this is, and obviously I'm teaching to the converted. You're a dad, so and obviously a lot of our sort of listeners and watchers are as well. But I'll share it anyway. I went from being the coolest, biggest, daddest, hardest guy in this one of the lads' lives to all of a sudden overnight, his voice dropped, his confidence grew, and I was the most embarrassing geezer on the planet. And that seemed to happen overnight. And then you question yourself, but the only trick, and we're diversifying here a little bit, but it's real life. And the one thing I tried to do is have 2 hats with them. Not just be dad, but be their mate as well. And that helps communication. You have to be dad, and you have to have, rules, and you have to be firm every now and again. Of course you do. But if you're their mate as well, which isn't always easy because they'll test you, they're far more likely to come and talk to you. But back to the imposter syndrome, one of the best examples that I can remember of sort of capturing the essence of imposter syndrome. I think Billy Connolly's brilliant. I know his language is out there, but he is a seriously funny guy. And he's actually really clever. I mean, talk about life, the University of Life, and I'm sure you know this. But he was explaining his career in movies. And he's like, me, a welder from Glasgow, and I'm talking about, the movies. He said, I was in that. He was with Tom Cruise, and he was doing the big samurai. I don't know whether it was called the Great Samurai. He was explaining in this interview. He said, I was on horseback. I'd done that months trying to learn to ride this damn horse. And I was coming down at speed, and I got Tom Cruise to the left, and I got some other famous actress to the right. And all the way down the hill, I'm thinking, they're going to discover it in a minute. I'm going to get exposed in a minute. They're going to find out that I'm just a welder from Glasgow, and what the bloody hell am I doing here? And classic, genuine imposter syndrome. But of course, he just was the right person for that role. No one was questioning his competency or the fact that he wasn't a glitzy Hollywood. He was just the right person for that role, and I'm sure he smashed it. But the way he described it was just so simple. I'm just a welder from Glasgow. There's Tom Cruise. There's so-and-so. They're going to find me out. And it kind of summarised what we're trying to say, I suppose.
It does. And to be fair, again, like we said, I think it's a great subject because I think we're all the same. We're all just human. We're all just skin and bone, and we'll come into the world the same. But then we'll go on these different journeys, and some will go to different schools and then colleges, universities. Some don't go to school, and we all end up in these different places. But strip it all away, we're all the same.
Yeah.
And then some of us, like for me, again, I I didn't go to school much. I wasn't pushed into it. My dad had left when I was 10. So it was me, my mum, my sister. I was literally allowed. My mum was great, but I was growing up for my age as well, even though I was only 10. But I was like the man of the house, and I think by the time I was 12, all my mates was having to be in at like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and I was coming in whenever. Do you know what I mean? But then for me, going into work, like my first real job, I was a croupier in a casino.
Wow.
And it was only because it was I turned up and I had an interview and they said, yeah, we'll put you through the training. And even doing that, I remember I was only 18, 19. And once I'd done my training, which was like a 6-week intense training course, I remember watching other croupiers who was done it years and they didn't even have to think. Everything was just there, spinning the ball. And I'd be stood there thinking, what am I doing? I didn't even get a GCSE in maths. And I'm stood there trying to work out 17 times 35 plus 16 times 8 plus whatever the splits was. And I'm thinking, I shouldn't be doing this. This isn't for me. You know, I'm not the right person to be doing this job.
Yeah.
And I ended up leaving, which I maybe could have had a good career as a croupier if I'd have stuck at it, but I didn't think I was good enough for it, and it was too hard. But then I went into construction at 20, and again, I think that's where confidence plays a major part in whatever it is we're doing. And if we do start to over-question ourselves, start to overthink, then that's when that imposter syndrome can literally destroy our careers.
Yeah. Without doubt. I mean, it's eerie what you've just said, Steve, there, because my mum and dad got divorced when I was 10. My sister was 12. I was 10. And I was brought up by my mom and my sister. So, yeah, I think it is fair to say I did have a free reign, you know, and mom would maybe say, oh, yeah, but you can't do this or that. But I'd push it and then she'd relent. So, you know,
how many times can you remember in your childhood or being younger where someone's told you can't do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, my mom was I have to say, my mom was a very, very feisty, strong woman. And to be fair to her, even though I had a free reign, if I had have ever said to her, oh, I'm a bit down because so-and-so said I'm crap, or so-and-so said I can't do that, she would straight away say to me, why not? What makes you think you can't do it? So that was wonderful. My dad wouldn't have done that. My dad would have gone, even if he'd have thought it. He was a weekend dad. He was amazing, but his communication wasn't there because he never had it. He just never had it. Whereas mom she'd question everything, you know, she was a Geordie, bless her, and she had more front than woolies, and that's where I get it from, I suppose. But yeah, so what you said definitely resonates with me because, yeah, I didn't do very well at school at all. I just didn't take it seriously. No way I was going to college or anything like that. So I waited till I was I went on a building site. I was working for a roofer, which was just terrifying back in the day. And as soon as I turned 17, I don't know how I made it really, but and then as soon as I turned 17, I was off. I was in the RAF as an armourer. And again, imposter syndrome, you're thinking, you're talking, you make mates, you got mates, you're a community very quickly, you stick together, you know, the bullies are sorted out, and that's great. But you hear all these stories of, oh, you know, my dad was a sergeant for 30 years, or I was in the cadets for 7 years, and my great auntie and me, they were all this military life. And I'm thinking, I haven't got any of that. I'm here because I didn't want to get in any more trouble, and I was lost. And I didn't even tell my mom and dad I'd signed up. I went to the careers office. I got a date. I did the test. I went back. I was on my scooter. I just went on my Vespa, and I came back and said, right, you know, I went to see him separately. I said, I've signed up. I'm going in September. And best thing I ever did, because I grew up. But the imposter syndrome, oh, goodness me. I thought even some of my mates were saying, don't worry, Clive, we'll see you back here in a week, you know. But yeah, it was. You build confidence. It's part of the journey. And that was probably, you know, an important part of my resilience. And it was probably an important part of me learning what imposter syndrome is and perhaps doing something about it.
So at the age of 29 that you are now.
Yeah, good. I like that. Say that again.
We're all 29. It stops at 29.
I'll take it.
Would you say the imposter syndrome's gone, or do you still carry a little bit of it?
I definitely wouldn't say it's gone. I felt it yesterday talking about to a couple of those guys. And I've done a lot of the prisons, and I don't always get it, but I got it yesterday. What's happened with it is it's not so big and scary. It doesn't all of a sudden take me off my feet anymore. And I have the capacity to all of a sudden think, okay, but actually, Clive, don't try and be somebody that you're not. Don't try and think you've got to overcompensate for this noise, because actually, if you believe in what you're doing, and to your point, you know your self-worth, just being you, you'll get past this. And that's what happens. But it's not easy. It's a real thing. And people that are listening to this must understand. I've been doing this for a long time. I've had a couple of really great careers, and I've been in all sorts of situations. But yesterday, I felt imposter syndrome, no question.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. Like, it's a lot better now than it was. Like, I nearly folded my business partly because I didn't think I should be doing it. You know, like, even though I've got the lived experience, I've got the impactful story. I've studied it now for 13 and a half years, like mental health, addiction, and I'll still tell myself I'm not good enough for this. Like, so when clients had come to me, I'd be like, I ain't got a degree in psychology. I haven't been to college. You know, like, and they'd be like, yeah, but we've heard of you and we know of your experience, and people have told us that you've helped them before, or like with companies, they'd be like, oh, you spoke at so and so company and they've said how amazing it was and we want you to speak here.
That's brilliant.
And I'd be shitting myself. I'd be like, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
So it got to the point where SK Life Coach UK I nearly just deleted it. And my goal then was going to go into safety and do my NEBOSH, because it was something I didn't want to go back into a digger, but with my experience within safety now as well over the last few years, I just thought I'd maybe get through that a bit easier. But then, literally the day I was going to fold the business, I got a phone call from Skanska company, and then they wanted to book me for 20 days, and it was like, yeah. But that gave me that confidence back, because I thought they've heard me speak before. Basically, they're the ones who asked me to do it to begin with. And if they're coming back and wanting me for 20 days throughout the year, I must have done something right. I must have done a good job.
Yeah.
And then my confidence started to build a little bit again. But my business has been running now over 6 years, and I'd say it's only this year I've really started to believe in myself more, especially with regards to that imposter syndrome. I do believe that I am where I'm supposed to be, and I believe that what I'm doing is 100% helping people, and I know this because of the feedback I get back. So,
and I see that. I see that, and first of all, well done you. I think that's an incredible example for everybody that's listening to say, well, hang on a minute. Here's these guys. They're sitting on this podcast, so they must have it all sorted. Here's a classic example to say, yeah, but forget instant gratification. Forget instant overnight success. You've become an overnight success, which has took years.
Six years.
Hard lessons. You've made mistakes. You've questioned yourself. Your imposter syndrome has been your bedfellow like mine, and yet you didn't give up. You pursued your dream. If that doesn't sound too corny, you constantly reminded yourself, no, I do know my stuff. This will help. I can do it. And then all of a sudden, it was somebody else in the real world, one of these big businesses, that recognized that, yes, actually, Steve Kirby can do it, and we're going to use him. And that was the validation that you needed, and that has pushed you forward. But the example there is also that even with all that said, and here we are in 2025, both you and I, we still recognize and respect imposter syndrome, but it doesn't have to defeat you. It really does not have to defeat you.
And for anyone listening who can relate and think, yeah, I feel like that, I've been in them situations. Again, don't give up, because you don't know how close you are to achieving whatever it is you try. I still don't know what I'm setting out to achieve. Yeah. Somebody said to me not long ago, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I didn't have an answer, because I don't plan that far ahead. It's like, for me, thinking too far into the future just creates anxiety, whereas depression is, for me, is thinking of the past. So I try and just focus on now, on today, and doing what I'm doing. And yeah, I've got a plan for the week, but not 5 years. But my answer was, I see myself being the UK version of Tony Robbins. I want to help thousands and thousands of people. I want to do stadiums and talk to like literally thousands of people.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's aiming a bit high, in it. And I was like, well, even if I get onto the next step,
for sure,
it's a step further away than what I'm doing today. So again, imposter syndrome. I can't ever see myself doing that. Truthfully, that there's a voice in my head saying that you're never going to get there.
Yeah.
But then there's another voice saying, why not? Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same for any of us, no matter what career we're in, what we're doing. We've got to have a goal as to where we want to go. Some people are happy doing the same job and that's it, and staying there, and that's great. But again, if you're comfortable in that situation, then you're not really going to get imposter syndrome doing that kind of role. For me, that's again my opinion. But if you want to jump the career ladder and you want to move in, like from boots on the ground to site manager is a big jump in construction. Yeah. Somebody who's been on the tools to get into that position, and then you do question yourself, and like you said, there's managers above who have come from university and gone down that path.
Yeah.
And for you to get there down a completely different path.
Yeah.
There will be people questioning themselves, and should this be? But if it's what you want to do, then keep doing it. Keep going. Don't give up. Believe in yourself. For me, believing in yourself is the biggest thing.
Oh, it really is, Steve. And we've used the, like the inner voice term quite a lot, and we've talked about telling ourselves, hey, let's be honest. If we were really to think back, there might be voices that have come from somebody else in our family, in our friends, in our group at school. Could be a good friend, could be a bully, could be a teacher, could be a bad boss, whoever. It's those voices that we might not realize that they're still ringing in our ear, because their communication's been awful. They might have been one of these people that the only reason that they can make their own light brighter is by, putting yours out, that old saying, but it's absolutely true. So these voices become powerful because they're someone else's. And when they're someone else's, they're resonating in your head, and you think, well, how do I turn that off? Because maybe he was right. And, but it touches into what you've just said. I say to people all the time, we make plans and God laughs. That doesn't mean that you can't have a plan. That doesn't mean, I think it's incredible to have aspiration. And if you sit there and think, do you know what, one day I'm going to be doing this talk, but it's going to be in a stadium, and it's going to be this and it's going to be that. That's amazing, because that makes you want to hone your skills more. It makes you want to learn more, and it makes you want to get better at what you're doing. And you need that, don't you? Otherwise you'll just coast. But you also need to recognize where you're at the moment and respect that, because I'm going to sound like a fridge magnet now, but tomorrow isn't promised to everyone, mate, is it?
That's something I say every day. Tomorrow's not promised, and today is a blessing. Every day is a blessing.
It is.
So you've got to do whatever it is you want to be doing, and you want to be happy doing it. And it's like we said, like for me, that I have a lot of clients who struggle with that internal voice. Like you can't do this. You're not good enough.
Yeah.
It's like it's our own voice. It's our own conscience, us talking to ourselves. But that voice, like you said, could come from school, from bullies, from teachers telling you you're never going to amount to anything. I was told by lots of teachers. I want a naughty kid, but I never really tried at school.
Yeah.
And I would play truant quite a bit and turn up whenever I wanted. And my teachers used to say, Kirby, you're never going to amount to anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that sticks, especially as a young kid. And then I remember applying for different jobs when I was younger. My mum saying, "Oh, you can't do that. I mean, you're not good enough. You haven't got the qualification. They'll never have it." And again, it puts all that self-doubt in, and you start thinking, you're not good enough.
Yeah.
Now, I was a really confident, going into my teens and into my 20s, I was a really confident guy. But a lot of it was a bit of a front. And then when it came to certain roles, certain jobs, certain stuff, I would have that voice telling me, you can't do this. And I'm like, you're not good enough. And again, that comes from previous words that I've been told. Words are really, really powerful. And no matter who said them, they do stick and they do trigger.
Yeah.
But I think for me now, as a almost 47-year-old,
all right,
what I've learned for myself, what I've learned how to deal with stuff, and people can have an opinion. People can say whatever they want. And to me, that is just an opinion.
Yeah.
It's not my reality. My reality is whatever emotions, what I'm feeling because of what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
If someone tells me now I'm not good enough to do something, that inner voice ain't going to start latching onto it and be like, are you good enough? Should you be doing this? Because I now know, even with that previous imposter syndrome, I now know that I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, yeah.
I survived my accident. I survived intrusive suicidal thoughts. I survived that journey to be who I am today. Because no matter what journey any of us have been through, we wouldn't be who we are today if it wasn't for that journey.
No.
So for me now, it's about, I still have them thoughts and that little voice telling myself I'm not good enough. But I literally shrink it down and I push it away.
Yeah.
I tell it to shut up.
Yeah.
Because even though it's my voice, like you said, it's the voices of other people from the past.
Yeah.
And I know that I want to do what I'm doing. So I'm not gonna let that self-doubt tell me that I'm not good enough. Because
it's great.
I'll make the other voice bigger. The one saying to myself, you are good enough, you can do this.
Yeah.
I make that louder in my head.
And
cheerlead myself, if you like. But
yeah.
But that's a way of dealing with those thoughts and that negativity is shrink it down, push it away, and make the other voice louder. And I like say we've all got a devil and an angel on our shoulder, aren't we?
Yeah, we really have. Yeah, goodness me. Yeah, and sometimes, as you say, it's very difficult to make one louder than the other. But I think something else that is really important to say to everybody as well, especially if they're feeling like their mental health's been compromised through imposter syndrome or it could be any number of things. There's so much positivity in your life and in your story and in your journey that you're unaware of yet, or that's there at the moment that you just can't recognize because you're feeling a little bit low, you're feeling like you've got imposter syndrome. Doesn't mean those positivity elements aren't there. It doesn't mean that negativity is won and you are a loser, because we have all of a sudden got to just compartmentalize. I said it. Wow.
That's a big word.
I did well there, mate. I tell you, wow, brownie point for me. I won't say it again. That word.
Yeah, well done.
We've got to put it in that box, just like you've said, and think, okay, I've got it, and maybe I am a little bit unsure, but I did actually get this job. No one's given me the job. You know, they've offered me to be a supervisor for a reason, or I've learned something new today, and I can use that. And it might not be in this job, but it might be in my next role. Or I've done a little bit of work in health and safety as well as on the tools, and actually that I might learn a bit more about that. These are all positive things that can spur you on, make your day a little bit easier, and make that negative thought a little bit quieter. And it's not about denial. I do this all the time with my medical situation. It's not about denial. It's not about la, 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 I can't hear you. Don't worry, I'm fine. And I haven't really got this and I haven't really got that. It's not that. It's about the fact that I understand you, mate. I know you're there. I've heard you and I get it. But you're not beating me. Certainly not today, because I've got this to think about. I've got that to think about. And if I do this, it'll help me do that tomorrow. And these are all little things that, because it's a challenge every day, isn't it? Life's tough, Steve.
Life's difficult. And again, I say it all the time, but we've all got a story. Everybody's going through something. And even you flick through social media and somebody's life looks happy and smiley, and they've got shit going on as well. You know, like everybody has. But I think for me, and I kind of preach about it all the time, it's about positivity and negativity, like you've just said. I woke up this morning feeling a 6. Didn't feel great. Looked outside. The weather's not great. Didn't want to climb out of bed. But by the time I'd brushed my teeth, by the time I'd had a shower, by the time I'd sat down on my phone and wrote down 7 things that I'm grateful for and actually felt them and appreciated them, that energy level starts to rise.
Yeah.
That vibration starts to change, and you start to feel better. By the time I'd got the dogs ready, got the harnesses on, went for a walk, taking in the birds and all the sounds. And again, something the old me would laugh at. Hearing me talking about birds singing and feeling good, I'd be like, fuck idiot. You know? But I appreciate that. And whether that is because I'm now old, if you like. But I think that's just where my emotional intelligence has kind of got to, and where I'm at as a person. But by doing those things, I the rest of today has been a good 8, a 9. It's been an amazing day. It's been a blessing. And I think if we can learn to recognize that in ourselves, if we do wake up feeling a bit shitty and low energy, we use those tools to bring ourselves up and to see the days are positive. Go into work, you're where you're supposed to be today. If someone's not happy in the job and they're feeling that they're not good enough, but they're truly not happy doing what they're doing, then look for something else. Look for something you feel comfortable in. But if you're doing what you've always wanted to do, but that imposter syndrome's eating away at you, just look in the mirror and tell yourself you are where you're supposed to be. You are an amazing person. Because the more you can, we don't big ourselves up enough. Like if you come to me and you were saying, "Oh, Steve, I don't feel like I'm good enough to be doing this," I'm gonna big you up and be like, "Well, of course you are, Clive." You know, like. But sometimes we don't do that to ourselves. Again, speaking about that voice in our heads, we beat ourselves up, and it flips on us and it tells us, you're not good enough, you're useless, you're this, you're that. What we've got to do is, it's not to die. What we've got to do is make sure that self-talk is really, really positive.
No, you're absolutely right, mate. And I talk about this quite a lot. We have to learn the art of self-compassion. And as men, that's not always easy, is it? You know, we can, like you said, we can big up our mates. We can talk to family members, our children. We have to do that all the time for our children, when they're going through different stages in their life. But we don't always do it for ourselves. And sometimes we do have to just catch ourselves a break a little bit and learn the art of self-compassion. And it's not about being all, turning into a snowflake but you do have to all of a sudden recognize, well, I have got this far, or I did do a good job today because, it worked, or I've learned something new, as I said earlier. And it's important because it does instill self-belief and it does instill confidence. And sometimes you can't wait for someone else to give you that validation, because sometimes life gets in the way and you're not going to get it. And also when you've had a tough day, or if you're in a job, as you said, that you think, hang on a minute, it's a bit of a square peg in a round hole here. Don't think that you've got to all of a sudden panic and react to that just because either you're not happy or, as we were originally talking about, you feel a massive, like you've got this imposter syndrome. There will be something positive that you'll be able to learn from that experience. There 100%. Will be something that you'll be able to look back and think, do you know what? If I hadn't have spent my time doing that, I wouldn't now have the outlook that I've got. Or I can advise someone else on that now because I've felt that and I've come out the other side. And yeah, it's balancing the two voices, isn't it?
It is, and life is always going to test us every day. Again, there'll be something else. There'll be something happen. But again, for me, my belief is we are where we are today, where we're supposed to be, and I'm me because of my journey up to today. So I believe in myself. I believe I'm who I'm supposed to be. I believe I'm where I'm supposed to be. And I believe if I want to try something else, the only person that's going to get in my way is me, nobody else. And I think we should all do that. And for anyone listening who wants to push themselves a little bit in the career, they want to just have more confidence, massive way of doing that is just reminding yourself you are good enough.
Yeah,
you are an amazing person. You are where you're supposed to be, and don't doubt yourself.
Yeah,
and I think one thing, my final message from this conversation would be, if you're struggling with imposter syndrome, then again, look in the mirror and tell yourself you are who you're meant to be, and that's it. There's no doubt in it. So
yeah, good one.
Believe in yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you for your time this evening, mate. I always enjoy our chats, and it's a good point what you've just said there about leaving a final message for everybody. And I think mine's twofold, really. And I think when this imposter syndrome is lingering, always remind yourself, if you're in a meeting that you're uncomfortable, or if you're with the bosses and you think, hang on, I feel like a minnow here. It's not always the case that the loudest person in the room is the cleverest. That's usually it's the other way. And conversely, I will also say that sometimes an empty vessel makes the biggest noise. You know, they might be boisterous. They might show that they've got more confidence than you, but it might just be that they're an imposing figure. Actually, they haven't always got any substance at all. So believe in your substance, believe in what you've learned, and you don't compare yourself to that loud person. It's don't do it.
Yeah, for me, never compare yourself to anybody. You are who you are, and that's enough. And the only time I'd look at something, if like I've studied NLP a lot, and if you want to go down a certain path in a career, and you know somebody else who's done it and done it well, then mirror that. You know, do what they've done, see what they do. But again, be confident in what you're doing. And for me, that's it. With imposter syndrome, it destroys confidence.
Yeah.
If you let it. Yeah. So for me, just keep reminding yourself you're where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Clive, and thank you to everyone who's still here listening, watching. This is Built for Us, podcast by construction workers for construction workers. And follow us across all social media. Tune in for the next episode. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, Clive.
Thanks for viewing this episode. We really appreciate your support. Remember, follow us, subscribe, share with a mate, join us live. Built for Us. Let's build something stronger together.